Hey, what is up guys, I'm Exteria, and a lot of you guys always ask how to position, especially how to position against either Shaco, Zed, or Sejuani. Well, that's what we're gonna do in this video, but before we get to those kind of positionings, we should at least learn the basic positionings, and for those of you that already know the basic or don't want to learn it, you can skip to 4 minutes and 38 seconds. Now then, so what I mean by the basics is literally the fundamentals of positioning in the early game, and let's just make a board here. For example, it'll be like a Kog'Maw, a Kindred, maybe a Skarner to get that boom botted. You also get 2 rapid fire from Kog'Maw Kindred, and say for example you got a Vi that's level 2, so we're gonna represent that as main tank with Warmongs, and she'll be your main tank. And say the board you're gonna be going against is a Jax 2-star, the same positioning as the Skarner, and then a Poppy next to the Jax, and then his DPS units would probably be like a Jhin and a Kindred to get that marksman in. So your board has 2 Boombot, 2 rapid fire, 2 Vanguard, while his board has 2 Bastion and 2 marksmen. Well, the question is, who's gonna win? His main tank Jax on this positioning or your main tank Vi in this positioning? The answer is most likely, depending on augments though, he would most likely win due to the fact that your Skarner is in the middle and his main tank is in the middle, but your main tank is on the side. And here's the reason why. So for your board, your Kindred will be targeting the Jax, your Kog'Maw will also target the Jax, same with your Vi, target the Jax, and Skarner will target the Jax. Now, technically, yes, this is good, but for the enemy's end, is even better for them. What I mean by that is the Jax will be targeting your Skarner, their Poppy will also target the Skarner, their Kindred will also target the Skarner, and their Jhin will also target the Skarner. So why is this bad? The main reason why is because your Skarner will die immediately, so therefore you lost out on 1 unit. Compared to him, you still technically have 4 units targeting Vi afterwards. So you just simply swap the positioning, you have at least a higher chance to win the round, or you would just lose less HP. Now let's say if the enemy positioned the same way you did, where it's around the same angle, now who's gonna win from this perspective? Most likely you will win. And here is why. For your targeting, your Kog'Maw will hit the Poppy, same with Kindred will also aim for the Poppy, your Vi aim the Poppy, but here's the tricky part. Your Skarner is going to aim either the Poppy or the Jax. This is a 50-50. So if your Skarner is also attacking the Poppy, you have a higher chance of winning, but if your Skarner is attacking the Jax, then you have a less chance of winning. But it's also the same thing for the enemy. So their targeting would be your Jhin hits the Vi, Kindred will hit the Vi, Poppy hits the Vi, and at the same time, she will also 50-50 as well. So either hit the Vi or the Skarner, and then the Jax will hit the Skarner. So from here, most likely you would win though, just because your main tank is tanking most of the DPS. Compared to your board, your DPS is taking out the weaker tank. So technically by using the process of elimination, you have more numbers in him later in the round than he would. So this means you have a higher chance of winning, probably at least around above a 70% chance to win the round. Now the question is, what happens if you're playing a melee carry in the early game? Like for example, like Shaco. Well, the positioning you can do is don't put Shaco directly in the middle. The main reason why is because Jax will target Shaco, same with Poppy. Or if you do have tanks on the side, you're still playing like a 30% chance that Poppy and Jax will both hit Shaco. So if you want a proper positioning, probably something like this would be better. You're also guarding the Shaco to where Kindred only targets the Alistar, same with Jhin. So this makes it a lot better to do. But what happens if you position like this, which is what I see some people do. And this positioning is technically bad, but the case of if you have a 2-star Alistar, Mundo, and maybe Shaco, if all of them are 2-star with a main tank item on probably Mundo, this would be okay because the case of this happening is pretty rare, but it does happen. How it's gonna go for this round is Alistar will step up here, attack the Jax, same with Mundo, and Shaco will take his time walking all the way around, attacking the Jax as well. The issue with this is that everything is attacking Mundo at once, and Poppy will walk down here. The good thing about this is by the time Jax dies, so Jax is dead, Alistar will walk over here to fight the Poppy, and what Shaco does is he will walk all the way around to attack the Kindred. So this means that if your main tank is tanky enough, this will work out really well. But the problem is there's 4 units attacking your main tank, so if this unit dies, everything will be ruined. And here's how it's gonna go. So let's restart the positioning here, where if you position like this, so say for example his Jhin has maybe an IE, this will increase the power for him to kill your front line even harder. The pathing is gonna go is Alistar walks up to fight the Jax, Poppy walks down to fight the Mundo, and then Jax fights Mundo as well. Shaco will take his time pathing up here to fight the Jax, and what's end up gonna be happening is because Shaco is taking time walking all the way around, and this guy has a pretty good damage item with a pretty decent tank item, this Mundo will be dead, and what's end up happening is this Poppy is gonna go on the Alistar, Jax is 50-50 between Shaco or Alistar, and the worst part here, Kindred will attack Shaco, same with Jhin. So if your main tank isn't tanky enough, you will lose the round just because Shaco would probably die too. And that's about it for the basics. basics. Now we're gonna finally get into the Zed positioning. When you go against Zed, the positioning is not gonna be in the middle. It's either gonna be on the left side in the middle or the right side. The reason why they do this is because his ability allows him to jump to the unit that's within 4 hexes of him. So the 4 hex is either over here or over here. So that means if you position your unit in the middle of it and you have 2 bait units, this will allow Zed to jump either this person or this person. So it's 50-50. Say for example your carry is in the corner. Well, same thing, 50-50. So Zed either gonna jump your Ziggs or is gonna jump the bait unit. So there is units that kind of don't matter and you're just playing by chance. And what I mean by that is, for example, Zeri. Zeri moves around a lot with her ability, so you cannot tell where she's gonna go. Therefore, going against Zed, it's like chance if he jumps on Zeri or not. If he does jump on Zeri, she's just gonna move away anyway, so it doesn't even matter. So for Zeri's case, we'll say this doesn't matter. But Zeri's positioning I like to do is put Zeri right here, and I like to put the Kindred over here and the Jhin over here. The reason why I like to do this positioning is because when people put Zed right here, he will jump over here, and for some reason, every time in a position like this, Zed always attacks the Kindred first. I don't know if it's a bug or I'm just high rolling, but if Zed does attack the Zeri, she's just gonna move anyway, so it doesn't even matter. And then Zed's just gonna jump back to the tank, whoever your front line is at the time, and Zeri's just gonna keep moving around, just shooting him down. But if you're not playing Zeri, so what do? Well, basically, you position a way where you kind of have to have at least 4 or 5 units, mainly because you can use them as bait units. So most comps don't really use 4 backline units, but if you do have it, essentially you want to put your main carry somewhere around the middle. The main reason why is because most people put their Zed on a default spot, which is this spot or this spot. This means that Zed will attack this unit or this unit in this spot. If they're on this spot, it'll attack this unit or this unit. It is like a 50-50 if Zed does attack this MF, so essentially it's a higher chance of MF not getting hit because you're playing 30% chance instead of 50% chance. Since if Zed will jump over here, that's basically 130% down, and the other 30 is if Zed jumps here, it's 50-50 between MF and this dummy, so that's another 30% chance technically saying. So it's a 1 in 3 chance that Zed will attack the MF if you position her in the middle. If you're wondering how do you counter this positioning, well, to guarantee for Zed to hit the person in the middle here, let's just swap this around so you have a better visual. So in order to counter this positioning, it would be to do, instead of Zed over here, he would just jump these dummies. You want to put Zed on this spot next to the edge. This problem is still technically kind of 50-50, but it is better than positioning Zed over here anyways, because what's end up gonna happening is if they have frontline units, like say for example over here, Zed's gonna jump probably over here or over here. So it's like a 50-50 on that. But at least the good part is if he does jump over here, then that means Zed will jump MF the second time. So at least there's something like that. Or if he does jump over here or right here, yeah, he probably will jump over here. It's 50-50 between MF and the dummy. Essentially saying, in order to counter Zed, it's just chance. Like, there's really no way around it. You just have to play 50-50 against him. If you want to play against Sejuani, say for example you have a stationary Vayne, well, this is how you counter it. For one, if people are positioning Sejuani like this in the middle, you technically already won the fight since you're not going to get stunned if you're frontline like this. But the problem is, if you have your frontline like this, where most people have it by default, and they put Sejuani over here, what's going to end up happening is Sejuani will throw her ability and her stun will reach Vayne. If you want to maximize for her to not get stunned, you have to at least leave 2 gaps on the same side that Vayne is at. And this makes it to where if Sejuani has frontline like this, then what's end up happening is she would walk down here and she will cast her ability and it'll go around this range. So that means Vayne is safe. But if it does go lower, the max range will at least be over here. So that means if you have a set of carry right here, she will get stunned. But at least your main carry, Vayne, would not get stunned at all. Now the question is, what happens if you have more front lines? Well, you're gonna have to position him like down here. So it says Sejuani has to walk here, and then your front line will take time to walk there, and then Sejuani just has to throw her ability over here. So if you have extra front line, you're gonna have to put them back down here. If not, if you put it like this with extra front line, that means Sejuani's ability will hit Vayne. So there's just no other way around it but like this kind of positioning. I don't know if it works the other way around. I think her ability probably might hit still due to the fact that the hexes are different. So yeah, she walks down here and her ability splash probably reaches Vayne right here. So if you do want to counter Sejuani from this angle, I think you're gonna have to put Vayne right here. I'm not too sure. I've only done it from this spot. I've never done it on the other spot. But yeah, if you want to position guaranteed to not get stunned by Sejuani, I would say at least this bottom right corner is probably like the best. But yeah, if this positioning does work though, just let me in the comment section, just so I have like better information about this. Next up, we're gonna be talking about is Shaco now. And how do you go against Shaco? Well, the idea and the concept is you want to put your main tank against Shaco. What I mean by that is, say for example, you're playing Sejuani with Vex, so the Vexo tech comp, and your Sejuani has maybe a Protector's Vow with a Sunfire and then a Redemption. So this is good technically speaking, if it's just these units that we see here, because he'll take time to kill the Sejuani, and then after she dies, then Shaco will jump to the Vex. But by then, Vex should kill Shaco already. So what does Shaco do exactly to jump to the backline? How he does that is, if he kills a unit, then he jumps to the next 3 hexes away from him. So say for example, your front line is like this, with all these units over here. What's gonna happen is, Shaco is 50-50 between his dummy here and the Sejuani. Hopefully he hits your main tank. If he doesn't, he'll hit his dummy down here and then kills it. Then he'll jump either Vex or he'll jump over here. So you just have to be very careful with this. But if you want to guarantee the delay, what you want to do is you want to put a gap where you have Sejuani isolated with Shaco. So that means Shaco will stall to hit the Sejuani. And then if Vex is positioned over here, that means your Vex will be attacking Shaco, which is good, because by then he'd probably be dead before he could jump anyone else. So the concept is, you want to put your main carry and your main tank the same side against a Shaco. If you don't do this, say for example you do this kind of positioning, where if you have your main carry here and you have a bunch of front line like this, and he has his front line like this to stall you, what's end up happening is the Shaco will go up here, kill this unit, and then 50-50 either jump this Vex and then kill the Vex, or jumps over here, kills this thing, then jumps the Vex. But by then, you probably have enough time for Vex to kill this golem if Shaco's over here, so this golem's dead, and probably Vex will target the Shaco, hopefully, and then it's like 50-50 if you win the round or not, depending on the power of your board. But essentially, if you want to guarantee to win against the Shaco, put your main tank on a spot where Shaco will fight the main tank no matter what, because this will stall for Shaco to walk down, attack the Sejuani, Vex will kill this golem here, and then now she's going to be targeting this Shaco. So the concept is, always put main tank with the main DPS right in front of one another so that you can beat Shaco, because you want the tank to delay Shaco. But then the question is, what happens if he has Edge of Night so he can stall even longer? Well, at that point, hopefully you're stronger than him, you just power through. And that is it for the basics of positioning in set 14. Hopefully I answered most of you guys' questions that you guys have been asking in other videos, because I've seen a lot of you guys have been asking about how to position against Zed, so hopefully this helped. Until then, I'll see you guys in the next one. Later.